Hey there, this is Chris Sev from Better Dev. So, in a previous video, we created a loading card, which is this nice animated loading card. And it is basically what we call a skeleton loader. And it's going to show when you're loading your page. And usually it's like a JavaScript type of app where it'll show this and it'll show the loader and then it'll go grab the data, go fetch it from an API, wherever. And then it will show your final content on the left. We did this in pure CSS, and I got a request to do this in Tailwind since we're doing a lot of Tailwind content lately. Let's do it in Tailwind. So here I have a brand new CodePen, and I'm going to move that thing over there. What we're going to do is open up the settings to our CodePen, go grab Tailwind as an external style sheet right there, press save, and that's good to go. So I'll drop all of that. And to start off our demo, we're going to center everything and give this a background. So let's go for min height is screen. Let's go for flex items center to center vertically, justify center to center horizontally. I hope I got those right. And let's also go for a background. Background, I know we usually use the grays, so we'll use a gray here, but let's switch it up. Let's use a gradient. So gradient to bottom right, background gray, or sorry, this is going to be from gray at maybe 300 to gray at 400. And that should be good. All right, very subtle gradient, does the job for us. Now let's do our card. And we're going to say the card is going to be the card itself. We're going to have an image in the top section of it, and then we're going to have an H2 and a P tag. So since this is a loader, we're just going to use a bunch of divs. We don't need any H2s or H3s or P tags or anything like that. So I'm going to start off with the card itself. Let's go ahead and give this a rounded corners. So let's go rounded. Let's go for shadow 2XL. And that should be good. Maybe a background white as well. So let's go for BG white. And that should be decent for that. So next up, let's do some placeholder comments, image, title, and paragraph content. So that would be the content there. Let's do the image first. We're going to say, let's give this a div of maybe say height is 20, width is full, and let's go for that. So I want to show you this real quick. Background, let's go for gray at maybe 500, actually 200. And then the content, let's give this a little bit of content. So let's go for div. And here, we definitely want some padding on this. Class is padding of maybe 4 or 5. And let's see, our card is kind of taking place now. So we need rounded edges on the top left and top right of this image. So let's go for rounded top right and rounded top left. So now our card kind of looks nice and even. And since this is a placeholder card, let's give it a little bit of a width. So let's go for width is maybe 48. Let's try that out. Cool. So we have a width here and we have a loader here. But we haven't seen any of the loading pattern yet. We have this image background, which is supposed to be kind of a highlight sort of scenario. So the cool thing about building out a skeleton card, a skeleton loader in Tailwind is that Tailwind has built-in animations. So if I go to Tailwind animations and I go here and let's zoom out a little bit, I can scroll down and there's some really cool built-in animations like spin, ping, pulse, bounce. But the cool thing about this is if I scroll down, here's spin, here's ping, pulse. Pulse is what we can use to kind of build out these animated loader cards. And the cool thing about this is that the Tailwind docs themselves actually build out a skeleton loader using animate pulse. We'll go back to CodePen, and for this, animate pulse. All right, so it kind of has like this lightning kind of flash to it. Very subtle, but it'll be good enough for our loader. So here, the content, this actually needs to wrap the title because the title needs to be there as well. Let's start working on the title. And if you wanted, you can actually build up these to be a little bit wider, 32, and let's go for 64. Cool. So next up, our title. We're going to do this with a div because we don't have an h2. It's not really text. We shouldn't be using an h2 tag or anything like that. Let's go for class. Height is maybe 5. That might be too high. Let's go for width is full. And let's go for rounded. And now to make it show, background gray at 200. So there we go. And let's go for an animate pulse now, just to get it to kind of show. There we go. And since it's the title, let's give it a little bit of a higher height. That might be a little too high. Let's go for 6. And then I wanted to check the Tailwind docs for rounded because I think the rounded on that is a little too big. So let's go for rounded small. Here, let's go for rounded -SM because it is a little bit too much on something so small. There we go. And you can play around with this yourself if you do like it to have a more rounded corners. That works. And I want to show you something cool here. Let's give a margin bottom to this of maybe 4. And now let's build out these. So I'm going to actually copy this whole thing right here, right there. Drop this width is full because by default divs should be width full, right? So I actually don't think I need this one either. And we can drop the width full for this one too. Come on, Chris, why are you doing that? You didn't need the width full. Okay, so let's drop this down to width. Height is 4 since it's a paragraph. And ideally, we would probably have more of these, right? And the margin bottom 4, we could drop, margin bottom 4, we could drop down to margin bottom 2 or maybe 1. Get it closer, make it look like a paragraph. Cool. So this could be good enough to finish out our loader skeleton. And it looks pretty good. And all we had to do is add this animate pulse, which is a built-in Tailwind animation, right? But I think we can take this a step further. For the content here, I'm going to say div. I'm going to wrap all of these in a div. Rounded small, background gray 200, animate pulse, margin bottom. Let's drop the margin bottoms. And I want to use a little bit of Tailwind grid. And if you want to learn about Tailwind's grid classes, we have a video for Tailwind grid. But here, I'm going to say class is equal to grid. And I'm going to say grid columns of 3. So that essentially creates 3 columns. And notice that all 3 have stacked side by side now because there are 3 columns and there are 3 divs. So here I'm going to say gap is maybe 1. So now that gives a gap in between the columns. And that will also give a gap between the rows if I duplicated this a few times. And let me do a couple more. So right now I think we have 8. So the cool thing about this is we can say, all right, well, if we have 3 columns here, actually, let's bump this to 4 columns. Let's say for this one, I'm going to say column span 3. So now that is going to go across 3 columns. We can say for this one, that's going to stay at the 1 column because that's this one right here. And for this one, I'm going to say column span 2. And this one, we can say column span 2. And if you wanted, you could maybe add a little bit of spacing between these just so you can clear up which one is which. And then this one, you can say column span is 1. Actually, you don't have to write column span 1. It's default 1 column. And I'm going to say column span 3 for this one. And then this one down here, maybe column span is 2. Or actually, I kind of want to move that one to this. But the idea here is that you're just messing around with CSS Grid to build out this animated loader. So this one doesn't have to go all the way, right? But that's kind of a really cool effect in that it looks like a paragraph now. It looks like these are sentences and they end and go to a new line. But the cool thing about this is that you can play around with the number of columns. So you can say columns 5 and then have this one span 2, have this one span 2 more, and then have another one that spans 1. But you can definitely play around with the CSS Grid classes. And please do check out that Tailwind Grid video that we have. But I think overall, this is a really fun technique. We did it all without any custom CSS, all thanks to Tailwind, all thanks to Tailwind's built-in Animate Pulse animation class. And we could even do a little bit more. Let's change this out to a blue background. Make it pop a little bit more. And that looks cool. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a fun one to build out and really quick thanks to Tailwind. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what else you would like to see. This one was made by request from the other videos comments. I'm happy to, take requests and build out anything you need. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.